I tried my hands at my first baked cheesecake, which began as something of a curious adventure with some rule-breaking moments and some level of uncertainty.
Do we need to leave it to set, people? I need some help here. I need all you cheesecake connoisseurs to help me out here.
But just when I was sure to accept my failing results, I was pleasantly surprised by the turnaround of this New York style cheesecake.
The cheesecake is gonna be good!
And even though it seemed to have gone well, I still have some thoughts and some lessons for you if you'd like to bake your own cheesecake first time your way, and it starts with the crusts. Making a cheesecake requires mixing crushed biscuits or crackers with melted butter stirred together until well combined and then pressed evenly into the bottom of a baking pan, preferably a springform. But I had a non-springform pan, but off I went with some ice cream waffle cones and cake crusts to make my cheesecake bake. Now I know that is hardly biscuits or crackers, but I implore you to trust the process on this one. I needed about 180 to 200 grams of the crust mixture, and for that I had 3 ice cream cones, and added into that was some cake crumb to top up and about 70 grams of melted butter, a pinch of salt, and the cheesecake base was all ready to go. I would later line the tin before pressing down the waffle cone and cake crumb mixture and get this to bake at 160 degrees C for 20 minutes, which is more than the recommended time. Now, I will let you decide how many cheesecake rules we are breaking so far. For me, in my mind, there's about 3. If you disagree, you're about to find out. The first rule I broke started long before the ice cream cones or non-springform pan. And that's because this whole cheesecake began simply from my need to use up some leftover cake ingredients that were nearly out of date. Not exactly a good reason to start making cheesecake, is it? I could have baked anything, but hey, I wanted a cheesecake and here we are. To keep things simple, a hand mixer was employed for the task considering the amounts of ingredients and quantity. This would have been efficient. So I already had some eggs which were freshly purchased, and added into that was about 200 grams of caster sugar. You'll find out about the nearly out of date ingredients shortly, but I'll leave you to guess that whilst we move on. I have 3 large eggs and 2 yolks from large eggs separated from egg white. There's the juice of a lemon, but for now the lemon is cut into 2 halves and set aside. The rest of the ingredients include my nearly out of date cream and mascarpone cheese, which is on screen, plus all that you need to make this cheesecake is on screen for you. Next, in a large bowl goes the cream cheese and mascarpone cheese, which is mixed together with the hand mixer. From all my research though, I've been informed that to mix the ingredients has to be done slowly to prevent whipping in too much air, which may cause cracking in the cheesecake. Unfortunately, I cannot control this hand mixer as everything seems to be running on high even at speed setting number 1. So there goes more rule breaking, but honestly, this isn't intentional. How many are we so far? Let's count on that. There's a squeeze of lemon juice using my fingers to sift out the seeds. But after mixing in the lemon and cream cheese together, caster sugar is added, followed by the yolk. To prevent too much mixing and adding too much air, I do the rest of the mixing by hand before the hand mixer is employed again to mix everything together. Don't forget a pinch of salt, and now I have about 120 grams of sour cream and half a teaspoon of cornstarch. When all the mixture is mixed homogeneously, the cream is poured into my pre-baked crust and set on a tray of water to bake at 160 degrees C for up to about an hour. This is the part I get to tell you. This whole adventure was undertaken on a live with so much fun and the whole thing developing. So if you fancy catching up on the full length video, which is live, it's on the live homepage, do check it out. And also the cheesecake sitting in a tray of water is to help the cheesecake cook slowly with even indirect heat, which cooks the cheesecake gently, stopping it from cracking and achieving a great texture to the cheesecake. After 55 minutes, the cheesecake is baked on the live, and here's my initial reaction.
Because it's been baking for 55 minutes, so can we have an appreciation for what it looks like here? Look, is that a good thing? It's like it's set. It's set, but of course I can't do anything. Do we need to leave it to set, people? I need some help here. I need all you cheesecake connoisseurs to help me out here.
Following my initial reaction, I didn't know what to expect, as this was a let's wing it kind of adventure with lots of rule breaking. By the way, let's recap some of the broken rules that's led us here. I used cake crumbs and waffle cones instead of the recommended biscuits or cookie for the crusts. Much of my mixing of the ingredients appeared unregulated due to the nature of the hand mixer, and I made changes to the original recipe without prior testing. The baking task itself was generally unplanned due to the intention to get it done on a whim. Worth noting, the original recipe is by Preppy Kitchen, from which I made these changes. On the live though, there were suggestions the cheesecake may have overbaked, and for that I was willing to accept my mistakes and take notes for better results next time.
With that color, it may be overdone. You know what? I'm not mad about it. I'm not surprised if it is overdone. I am not surprised at all, because this is my very first baked cheesecake, you know.
But that was before I left the cheesecake to set overnight. Now, if you're a beginner out there undertaking the baking of a cheesecake first time, there's a photo on screen showing you what to look out for. Here's what surprised me after the cheesecake was brought back next day. Turns out, after all the misadventure, the cheesecake was exactly how a cheesecake should, even though admittedly it doesn't seem to have met all the markers shown on the photo earlier. This cheesecake was firm with a soft bite crust and a creamy soft set cream cheese topping on top of the crust. If you remember when I remarked baking the crust exceeded the recommended baking time, I was short of telling you the crust almost bent. But that worked well for this cheesecake because it yielded a flavorful crunch that paired well with this cold, soft cheesecake topping. The waffle cones added texture, making the feel of the cheesecake exactly what I wanted. I couldn't stop eating it. Whilst the result was amazing, the cheesecake yielded a really sweet, rich, creamy mouthfeel, which for my palate was slightly overwhelming, but that's a preference thing. So if I have to do this again, I'll perhaps reduce the sugar by 20 grams and increase the lemon to 2 whole lemons, and I'll include the zest this time for a zesty citrus flavor. The salt will increase from a pinch to a full-on 5 to 7 grams, or perhaps a 10-gram quantity if I kept the caster sugar quantity the same at 200 grams. I discussed my feelings about this cheesecake on the live that is up on the screen, and there is more in a playlist for beginner friendly bakes which I encourage you to watch.